Hello everyone, this is Waning Moonlight, and today we're going to be doing Dark Souls 3 using only the Moonlight Greatsword. Rules for the run, it's all damage must be from the Moonlight Sword, or the spell, the Old Moonlight, and that's about it. If you're curious on how to get these weapons, the Moonlight Greatsword can be obtained from Osiris, the Consumed King, and the spell, the Old Moonlight, can be gotten from Midir in the DLC. This run I'm expecting to be pretty easy. Just got to make my way with a pretty solid weapon and a pretty powerful spell. Now the whole challenge is that this is in New Game Plus 4. So the enemy scaling up is pretty high. Let's just hope it's not too awful. Starting off here, Gundyr, I mean he's pretty easy to do. He's the tutorial boss after all. Now, other bosses though may pose more of a problem later, but we'll get to that when we get there. Now I also have a mini challenge within the challenge, and that's to try and see how many bosses I can finish off using the spell the Old Moonlight, just to get the final hit. Decided to add that just so it's not me just smacking a boss around using a sword. You know, adding a little bit of variety to it. And with one miss, a little healing, going for the final shot, and our first boss is down. Next on our hit list is we have Vort of the Boreal Valley. He's a pretty easy boss for number 2, but still is something to look out for. I've not tested this myself or looked it up, but he has an ice affinity. And to me, ice and magic, I believe, are connected. So I believe his magic resistance might be a little high. Now, after his very long but very grand entrance, go to test how much we're going to be doing. And so far, not bad, just a few hits. Already giant chunk done. Even he's jumping back a little afraid, it seemed. What's a poise break? I gotta say, I don't often get to do that on him. But now for the triple run that he loves to do. And before he can do his breath attack, decide to get in, swing the sword. And I didn't realize how much damage I did, but I failed to get the spell kill. It's 1-to-1 for spell kills and not spell kills. Alright, now that I've gone and beaten Vort, I have to go get this banner so I can progress further. Now, to get the banner, just gotta run up a little bit more. Up these flights of stairs, past these numerous guards. And then I just gotta walk in here and talk to this nice old woman. Sure nothing bad would ever happen to her. Except, maybe an accidental button press that leads to murder. But I'm sure no one saw. I'm sure it'll be fine. And those doors closed, man. I'm sure it was just a window. And there's a witness of the crime on the roof. Well, surely we cannot have someone do that. Now, in all seriousness, for those who are unaware, the Dancer is more of a mid to late game boss. You're automatically teleported to them after defeating the third of the 4 Lords of Cinder. However, instead of talking to that woman, if you kill her, you're allowed to do the Dancer early. In this point of the game, you would be heavily underleveled. But as it being a new Game Plus 4 run, I mean, I assumed I had the levels, and thought I should be fine. But, if you saw that, you can kind of see I overestimated my health and my damage output. So a few panic heals later, and a few mistimed dodges. But still holding on for now. Thought if I could get some distance, could probably heal and kind of reset a little here. I thought maybe go for the spell. Keep some distance, should be good. But it just occurred to me how short the sword's distance is there. So I switched back to melee. Then lucky me, just professional dodge roller. Pro at that. Just lose my first attempt and first death of the run. So then I get to do this it's not a bad run back, but it feels very tedious every time. Maybe it's because of all the stairs and the enemies around it, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I'm always nervous one of them's gonna get me as I enter the fog gate. So used to Dark Souls 2 ones and all. But either way, we're back. And with a better idea of what to expect, moveset wise. If you've made it to this point of the video, you should definitely like and subscribe. I make a lot more Souls and Guilty Gear content if you guys are interested in that. Check it out, see if there's something you enjoy. But despite that was a near death and almost a run ender right there. But luckily I was able to back up and heal just enough to keep it going. I get a nice charge attack, and just circle strafe to get a few more. And I decided to go for the Astral War, because I think it does more poise damage. If I could get just a poise break, in general that's just helpful. Another free hit. And plus it does more damage than the regular RB, so it's a good punisher there too. Also thought I was going to get hit by that black vortex there, but luckily panic dodged perfectly out of it. But sadly, forgetting I even was doing the spell run, that's another failed one. Another boss down. Next, once again, to make an odd choice, I decided to go up and take on the old Dragon Slayer armor. Now this is typically the one you would do right after the Dancer. And I could have saved him for later, but he was one of the people I worry about. I'm typically bad at fighting him using melee weapons, so I thought I should probably try and see how that's looking. And you see, this wasn't my first attempt, it's actually my second. He basically 3-shot me, and was not ready for that. But luckily, it wasn't that bad once I got that down. And also learning I can have 2 strong attacks doing a lot of damage is pretty nice there too. And, look at how much damage that one swing did. 75% of my health right there. But luckily, his movesets are pretty predictable, so it's not too hard to learn and get him down. However, that move is always worrisome because it has multiple things he can transform it into. So it always makes you kind of stop and try to think what's the best way to approach it. But after one hit, it's another failed kill using the Moonlight spells. Alright, and up next here is our good old pal, the Crystal Sage. Now, this one I was actually the most worried about of the entire run, solely because he's a magical boss. And, obviously, well, if you couldn't tell, the Moonlight Greatsword is a magical weapon, ergo, a boss that resists it, plus doing magical damage when I'm not wearing the best magical armor. Thought this might be a harder challenge than it was. But actually, he went down pretty good this round. I just ran in, swiped, and he teleported. He didn't really do too many moves that hit me. Or at least for this point. And if you didn't know, when fighting the Crystal Sage, he has designated teleport spots. And if you know them, you will also need to know that he'll typically teleport to the ones that are farthest away from you. Ergo, you can kind of predict where he's going to go, so that way you can damage him before he even pops up to fight back. I've heard some people say they can tell where he's going to go from the crystals popping up, but I don't know about that. Now the clone phase is another one that had me slightly worried, because if one attacking me wasn't a lot, and I was barely doing good there, having multiple, that's an easy way to get melted from 4 people hitting you at once. But luckily, the way I ran, taking out mostly the clones before I actually fought the original, which is the best way to do it, ends up working out pretty well, I do say. Now, is that just because I guessed wrong where the real one is? Maybe. But that's not the point. In the end, just a few dodges, a few swings of the sword, and a few face tanking and soul spear and homing crystals. But he goes for his final teleport. We get a little too close to the camera, but I run where I believe he's going to be. Take out one more clone. Realize I'm wrong. And swing 1, swing 2, and 3. And for the 4th time, I fail to use my sword for the finishing blow. Alright. And up next, we are going to the boss fight, the Deacons of the Deep. This is a group fight. Now, for the first one of the run, I was a little worried for how it'll go. If those of you who have never fought the Deacons are unaware, the Deacons, they are a giant mass of, well, deacons, clergymen, men of the church. And every once in a while, there'll be one with a red aura. And that one is the one that you need to kill to damage the health bar. And so, as you can see the one up front with the red, I have to first, it's not that I just got him, it's that I gotta kill him to do damage to the health bar. And if you kind of see, they like to kind of like closing together, group up. So I thought maybe using the Ash of War may be my best move. It pushes them around, it does an area damage, so I'm hitting more than one at once. And if it allows me to weaken them, so if they get the red aura, I won't have to, maybe they'll be damaged and I don't gotta hit them as much. Like that one right there, like, just had to tap him. That one, I know he's damaged, boom. And when there's not one that I see, I'm trying to clear the herd a little bit, because if I don't, then I know it's going to get almost too much to handle at times. but so far it hasn't been too bad. Now I tried to get the backstab on the main beacon, but I missed. I probably should have mentioned this, but at about halfway of the health bar, the leader of the deacons will come out. And then he just stays the one with the health bar, the guy with the hat. And this is why I was talking about thinning the herd. Just how easily my health bar just went down was crazy. But so far, it's not too bad. That's about the only close call I get, other than they try to heal him. If they heal him, obviously that's no good. And they do have a spell that will be applying death to me. So once I see that got started, I tried to hurry things up, just a little bit. And then of course, healing again, it's not allowed. So just circle around, swing. Then I remember, I kind of do want to get a few more kills with the spell. So I tried to go in and swing with it, and it barely didn't kill, but I got him that time. Making the total of people killed with the spell at 2. And here we are on our way to the Abyss Watchers. If you are unfamiliar with this boss fight, I'd say it's one of the best in the game. It's the first of the 4 Lords of Cinder. Now, the boss fight, I like to go around the side path myself, just because it feels a lot safer. The regular route has a bunch of enemies in front of it. And, it's nice not to have aggro when you're about to go into a boss fight, because they can actually follow you in here. That's happened to me a few times. So we walk in, we kind of interrupt some in-group fighting, which, I'm sure it'll be fine. Getting settled the old-fashioned way. As we go in, we get a good backstab. Now, it wasn't until like my 6th or 7th run of this game I learned you could actually backstab these guys. And I'll tell you, backstabs make it 10 times easier. But I mean, I've seen some people play where they just fish out backstabs and that's all they go for, but I feel like that makes it take way too long. So yeah, but with 2 people, I try and just kite them around, get in my hits when I can. And wanted to test to see if that would be like a poise breaking spell, but it didn't work out. And speaking of spells, that obviously didn't work out. And I kind of couldn't see what was going on with that dust cloud, so that was an awesome hit. But I get my backstab, and one more would kill. And yet once again, I missed that, but that one worked. And pretty well, I do say. And now we gotta do with phase 2, the empowered one. With these flames, kind of leaving a trail effect, it makes it more likely for you to get hit if you mistime a roll. But luckily, these defenses aren't like crazy high. Like there's no real changes to that, luckily. And he's still backstabbable, which is always good. And I learned that if I go for the charge attacks, by the time it's fully charged, you'll probably be able to be hit. So that's why I tried to focus on them. And I was trying to get behind him, which is why I kept getting hit by those fire attacks. Obviously, it didn't really work out too well. But now, he's within the clear zone. So I'm trying to time if I should use the spell. But and I realized that does not do a lot of damage. But it's too much damage for my sword, where it would kill him. But there we go. Spell kill 3, and the Abyss Watchers are down. Now, here, got probably the biggest joke boss of this game. The cutscenes to him alone was legitimately the same amount of time it took me to beat him. That's a cool entrance, though. For those of you who are unaware, this is Dark Souls 3's probably like their skeleton boss of the game, because most games typically have one, like Dark Lord, or for like Nito for Dark Souls 1, the Skeleton Lords for Dark Souls 2, and Dark Souls 3 as High Lord Wolnir. Now, that was a perfectly timed roll. And all you gotta do to beat this guy is just break his bracelets. He's a big jewelry fan. And so, like, you're not actually damaging him, you're just hurting, like, his self-esteem when we break his jewelry. He doesn't feel as confident at all. However, it's kind of hard to break a man's bracelets when he attacks with his arms. But luckily, once that one's done, this one is a lot quicker. I should mention that fog is poisonous, so getting trapped in it too long is not ideal. But once again, another failed spell kill. I have no idea how many hits it takes to actually break the bracelets, so I had no clue how close I was. And after him, we're on to a boss that many people may think may not be done in this run. But I say all bosses Moonlight Greatsword. So let's do it. So, for those who are unfamiliar, I have here Yorm the Giant. Now the gameplay is going to be sped up a little bit here, because it is about a 6-7-ish minute fight. And I don't have enough stuff to talk about to cover that all up. So, as you can see, this man has a big health bar. And for those who are unfamiliar, that item in the corner near his chair is a weapon called the Storm Ruler. It allows you to kill him in like 5 to 6 hits, and it's kind of like the intended way. If you guys have played Elden Ring, it's like the Serpent Hunter, except way more effective. You can even believe it. Now for Yorm, you can just hack away at his legs, but actually, that's the least effective way to do this boss. If you hit his head or his right arm, the one with the weapon, you just need a few hits, and that's how you get a poise break. And as you saw, the poise break really chunks his health bar, so that's what I go for. Plus, hitting the arms and head do like double damage than just hitting the legs. And I typically try and get a few hits too while he's down, just to add some more damage into it. At about 60% HP, he activates into phase 2, which as you can see is kind of like a fire mode. Now really, it doesn't do too much for him damage-wise, and he has like that fire AoE, but that doesn't even do damage. It's more like a get-back move. Like, didn't take a single hit there. Just the best thing that I recommend doing is wait till he does the two-hand slam like that. You can just run in and hit the sword hand. To me, that's the easiest way to get this done. And once you kind of learn how to fight him without the Storm Ruler, he's actually pretty easy. I've been able to do him with a broken sword in New Game Plus. If I can do that, I went into this knowing I could do the Great Sword. Now, I did also consider bringing in Sigurd to do this quest line for him, because I honestly was a little bit worried if the weapon durability would go out. But after a little bit of testing, I kind of realized it should be fine. And obviously, it was. One sword thrust, and swing, miss swing. If I get him there, I kill him, but once again, I forget the spell. Up next, I decided to backtrack a little bit and I have to go fight Plaintiff Sullivan. For a little fun fact, this man was originally going to be the final boss of Dark Souls 3. However, he obviously didn't make the cut for that, because here he is about midpoint of the game. Now, this boss actually was a bit of a struggle for me. Not only because, well, I mean, he's a struggle for most people. He's like a skill check for all. But I used to be able to do him pretty easily. I've done him with a broken sword, I've done him with just a short axe, but I kind of realized I've been fighting him with a lot of quick weapons, a lot of fast moving, get in a hit and I'm good moves. But I'm using a greatsword. I don't think a broken sword has the same moveset as a giant greatsword, you know. But I slowly but surely remember the dodge timings. It's just the punish windows that I mess up with. But I also learned that the strong attack with the beam actually does a pretty good job at breaking his stance. And the weapon art almost one-shots his phantom. However, if I kill his phantom, he becomes more aggressive. So, I didn't mean to do it, but it's dead. And so, with that perfectly timed dodge, and that dodge right there too, I know. I'm literally in the Matrix, can't hit me. And seeing his health is low, decided to go for the spells a little bit. I wanted to see how they would do. Now, obviously, kinda sucked. Only did 300 damage, which is 100 less than even a sword swing. So, or I thought it was going to, oh, that might have been a strong attack. But either way, it did less. And again, the sword beam just doesn't have enough range. It's just slightly shorter than I need it to be, which is very disappointing. And the charge time for that is too slow to not be hit by his beam. So I had to really stop and think my best course of action. And that was to I wanted to try and keep my space. And I also wanted to test hitting them with the sword blade would do any damage for the spell. It did not whatsoever, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. I do the charge attack, and it's kind of helping keeping my distance, because it almost looks like he doesn't know how to respond. But either way, just one swing and getting hit for a good part of my health. I decided to charge it up one more time. Miss, because I'm definitely skilled at the game. Then really charge it up. And I got another kill using the spell. Right here is the start of my personal least favorite boss fight in the game. Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods. Now the reason I don't like him is because he just runs away. Every single time I go to fight this guy, he just runs away. And the portal, when he opens it, also does damage, so you gotta keep your distance there, or else, well, you're taking a good chunk of damage. So, to begin with, as you can see, he's just been teleporting. I get the hits in that I can. And luckily, I really thought that portal teleport was going to hit me. It worked out pretty well. And in reality, I've fought this man so many times, and I honestly hardly ever seen him even do a melee attack, because he just runs before you can pull it out. So if I get hit a few times here with it, that's legitimately why. I just not know the timings for it. But I do know the timings of this one. He has a bow with so many tracking arrows. I just find it best to run in a circle till the arrows just leave. And it works out pretty well. Then I get hit by his healing move, which is awesome. I love getting hit by that. Luckily I dodged that attack, and also he has he takes more damage if you hit him in the face, like body part. So that's where I try to get most of my hits. But again, with how much he just runs around, I wouldn't say it's impossible, but it's so much more. It's much more easier just to get shots in the back than to go up front. And once again, I let him heal, and once again, he just teleports away. This is why I don't like fighting him. It's really just this over and over. Plus the awesome arrow rain again. Maybe it's a skill issue, but I'm just not a big fan of fighting him in general. Especially with another arrow. That's his 4th shot of arrows. I also don't like that when he teleports, he makes those like purple damaging light things. Not because, it's not like they do a lot of damage, but with how many they are, they do add up to wasting my healing. I'm already down to 3 left, and I gotta bide my time. And there I finally got hit by the teleport. It's not crazy damage, but it's a lot more than it should be. Honestly, I thought I was going to be dead there with how much damage I just took. But now I worry. I have 1 Estus left. He has a good chunk of HP. And knowing how he's going to get hit, I knew it would not be good. So I try and bait those things out with cover. And I'm more cautious to pull back when he goes for the teleport. And I do a few more dodges. Luckily, he doesn't go for his healing move again. Because if he did, it would probably be over for this attempt. But luckily, just got to dodge a little bit and hit his tail. And forget to do the spell. But he is done, and we are moving on. Now I'll just ignore my dead controller for a little bit. I had to find where I even keep the batteries. But what we have going on here is personally my least favorite run up to a boss in any game ever. So this is continuing. I did a little bit after the Dragon Rider, but to get to this boss fight, you have to run all the way up there. Now, some people may notice that there's an elevator to the side here. But legitimately, it took me forever to even spot that. Because, you know, if I'm on my way to run to a boss, and I'm dodging a bunch of enemies, I'm not going to take my time, look over, and realize there's an elevator right there. You know, like, how handy. I just run for my life into the boss arena. And plus, this elevator kind of sucks because it's such a long elevator. But finally, we keep going and reach the top. I wait for those guards to kind of walk by because, you know, they will chase you. And don't want people chasing you when you're just about to open a fog gate and go into the boss. I will say they have a very nice entrance to what is just their room. This red carpet and all.
Oh dear. Another dogged contender.
After his insults, I decide to probably fight these two. And Lorian, luckily, big weakness to magic. so each swing is just chunking his health bar. My big thing is I just kind of strafe around his non-sword arm. And I mean, it works. And I get a poise break too. And just look how much damage that was done. One swing and a heavy. And you can kill him mid-teleport too. But anyways, here's the real struggle. Now we have Lorien and Lothric to worry about. Lothric, unlike his brother, is very resistant to magic. And that's kind of an issue, because, well, we're doing magic damage. I didn't even consider that when I was talking about the Crystal Sage, or even planning this run, how resistant he'll be, but it's not an awful difference. I mean, doesn't make it impossible. Just really pads out the timing of this fight. With this being the second longest fight after Yorm, of course. Once again, for those who have never fought this boss, Lothric will revive Lorien to half HP whenever he's dropped down, as you just saw. Now, personally, I kind of wish he wouldn't revive him and would just kind of like move on his own, teleporting. But I kind of understand why they went with this direction. I do also think, and again, might be a personal opinion, but I feel like this sword, if I'm like up close, like literally against him, it should cut both of them. It's a big sword, after all. I mean, it cuts through him when I hit Lorien, or when I hit Lothric, but not when I hit him from the front, which is weird. And if there are people wondering why I wouldn't do a charged attack when he's doing his AoE, that's because I feel like it would have taken too long to get back in. So if I just didn't do it, that would allow me to run in and get in more hits than I would be able to do if I do the charge attack. And also, I did not know this, but if you poise break in the second phase, it doesn't damage Lorien, it doesn't damage Lothric, it only damages Lorien. Now I feel like it should damage them both too, but I don't know, I've been giving a lot of opinion pieces for this boss. And it's at this point I start to debate, do I want to try and go for the kill using this spell? Because obviously it'll be a little harder to hit a spell on a guy in back, so I gotta kill Lorien. But I can't use the sword, because if I use the sword, then I could hit Lothric and end it there. But I decided I still want to do my mini challenge, so I just go for it. And as you can keep seeing, I always overestimate the range of this spell. Decided to get a little close and personal and kill him. I'm assuming he was trying to teleport there. And after just a few more swings, he gets back up. But now we're at a tied game of bosses killed with spells, bosses not killed with spells, leaving one more contender for our spell killing run. And finally we are back, and at the finale for Soul of Cinder. Now to just recap on this run a bit, I gotta say it was actually pretty fun. I did it all in one afternoon. It took me about 3 hours. And I personally enjoyed using the Moonlight Greatsword. It's probably my personal favorite weapon of all time. And it's what inspired my channel name, it inspired my channel icon, and I use it in every Souls game that I can. When the Elden Ring even launched, first thing I did was Google where to get the Moonlight Greatsword. And now, I never actually got to use it in Dark Souls 3. Just because it's really like either out of the way of late game stuff. I never got around to it. So that's why I was happy to do this run. It really tests the limits of it. Now, it's not OP. It's not game changer, must try weapon. But the range it has and the good damage it does, even in such a high new game cycle, it's definitely a weapon I recommend trying out. Now, to talk about Soul of Cinder, I gotta say, he was the boss I died to the most out of every single one in the run. I fought him for like a half hour straight, and just for some reason, every single move he did, I just could not dodge it. Like, right there. Such an opening, but for some reason, I don't know why, I just missed it. And the spear phase 2, I don't know how I dodged. Literally just thrust forwards, I could not dodge it. And then he powered within, so of course the damage got increased by so much. I was honestly surprised that this right here actually was able to get him. I thought I was gone for. I also decided for the phase transition, try and use the spell a little bit. Because, you know, it's not like I can live if I run into the explosion. Well, I'm going to take that back. I can live on that tiny, tiny, tiny sliver. Now, I gotta say, was it luck that I lived? Most definitely. I legitimately just leveled up just enough not to die. But I gotta be careful. I only got 4 healing left, and obviously, if I do that, if I get hit by that one more time, that's all the healing I got left, and I'll be done for. And I don't want to do that with him having about 75% of his health bar. But luckily, this phase I'm a lot better at. Just feels a lot more natural to jump and dodge. With the lightning moves and with the kind of moveset of Gwyn from Dark Souls 1, it almost feels like the perfect combination of moves to make a final boss. And I still don't know how that move hit me, but sadly, without seeing his health bar, I finished him off with the sword, failing my challenge. But either way, the run was over. And I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe. And if you enjoyed the content, let me know in the comments and I'll make more like it. I'll see you all next time.